Here we go, the 27th country, Vietnam. So in 2014, after I returned back from Europe to Hong Kong, I was thinking to work a little bit in Hong Kong, but I really didn't enjoy my work at all. So I still got some money from Australia where I worked, but it's really very limited. And I was thinking to travel around in Southeast Asia, but most of the countries around Southeast Asia I request a visa. So actually, to be honest, I've only got the money for visas, so which means I can't spend money on transportation or something. So that came out an idea to hitchhike around Southeast Asia. Actually, the very first time when I get to know hitchhiking, that was back to 2012. I hosted a Japanese guest called Hiroki. He was the very first one person who introduced to me about hitchhiking, this idea. And then he demonstrated me how to hitchhike, and then even introduced me to the Hitchwiki, the hitchhiking website. And after that, while I was living in Australia, I watched a documentary called Two Billing by the Thumb, which was talking about a story. Two Chinese guys, they hitchhiked all the way from Beijing to Berlin. And and then after that, there's another book called The Kindness of Strangers, which is talking about an American journalist resigned his job and bring no money with him, traveled across the states, like 33 states in America. And then, all this information were like deeply down into my heart. And then I was thinking, if I got the opportunity, I have to try. But, to be frank, it's just because I'm super on a budget. That's why I decided to travel in this way. So I went to the border between Vietnam and China. So actually, it was my very first time to hitchhike. So I have no idea how to hitchhike. I've never done that before. I actually found a hitchhiking partner on, some website, a Chinese guy. But he told me he's not going one day before we supposed to start our journey to Vietnam. Okay, actually, I was like, wow, deeply inside my heart, I was thinking, wow, what am I going to do? But, I just pretend, okay, I respect your decision. So, and the very first day when I needed to try to hitchhike to Vietnam from China, I have no idea. I just went to the toll gate and I asked the traffic officer if he know where I can hitchhike, and then he's just totally don't get why just this way to travel. It's just like people don't get it about hitchhiking, the idea, especially like during that time in China. I tried to explain blah blah blah. And after that, okay, while I was explaining, I was crying, getting emotional. And then he said, okay, actually, I admire your courage, and why not you just go out and to check with the cars who are parking outside. And then I was like, okay, I just did what he told me. But unfortunately, that day, either the vehicles are full or they are not going to the direction where I need to go. So I feel so frustration. After I checked the next car, I was just sitting by the road, crying again. And then the last car, I asked the gentlemen in the car, they saw I was crying, and then they caught me, and then they checked with me what's going on. Is there anything, someone bully me or anything? I just tried to explain that I needed to hitchhike to Vietnam, but I couldn't make it. And I still remember that three guys in the car. One, the driver is a local. Another man sat next to the driver is a professor from Hong Kong. And the man who sat at the back is a Malaysian Chinese. And he was very kind. He tried to offer me some money. It's like he just took out like the Chinese yuan. It's like $100 to me in order to assist me, but I reject because I said I don't accept money for help, because I needed to hitchhike, not I need money. Okay, and he finally get it, and then after that he noticed I'm going to Vietnam, so he just came back from Vietnam, so he gave me some Vietnamese currency, which he left, and then I just gave him the exactly amount of Chinese yuan, so we did something like exchange. And after that, he said, okay, he knows someone who works in Hanoi, in Hanoi, in Vietnam. So he perhaps he can introduce me when I get there to allow me to do any summer job or something like that. So, okay, after all, I feel much better because I met kind people, they kind of comfort me. So I return back to where I get a visa, and then the people who work there accommodate me in their conference room. And then the next day I decide to try again. So, so the next day I was searching, about drivers. I heard suddenly someone was speaking Cantonese. Okay, let him finish his phone call, and then I just talked to him and showed my ID card and blah, blah, blah. They say, okay, if later on, if they got vacancy, they can allow me to in. So eventually they offered me a lift. That was my very first time in my life. And after that, still there's a distance from the place to the border. So, I was just like by a parking side, and I feel a little bit embarrassed to ask people, and sometimes even when I was hitchhiking, I feel like awkward and something like that. But okay, I still need to continue. So there's another car stopped, and there are 3 guys on the vehicle. I asked them if they are going to the border, and they told me yes, and then I would just ask if they can take me, and then they say yes, and then they were trying to help my luggage. I just feel so grateful, my tears almost come out, and after that they bring me to the border, and then they bring me to the market to exchange some more Vietnamese money, and then they even see me off to cross the China border into Vietnam. I just feel like they're like my family, seeing me off going abroad. So and after that, after I arrived in Vietnam, because it was my very first time and my very first day in my hitchhiking, and I'm abroad, there's a language barrier in Vietnam, so I decided to take a bus to Hanoi to meet my host. And then after I arrived in Hanoi, and my host is a hitchhiker as well, and he was a little bit worried about me to hitchhike around in Southeast Asia alone, and he decided to join my trip. But in the meantime, he needed to apply the visa for China, because our route was from China via Nepal and then around Southeast Asia. So while waiting to get his visa, I just went to North Vietnam, Sapa, to do some volunteer. It was also my very first time to do volunteer in a help center, just spend some time with the homeless kids, street kids in northern Vietnam. And I did enjoy my time in Hanoi because I stayed with my host family. His mom always cooked delicious food, Vietnamese food I enjoyed so much. And also I met some friends while I was doing the volunteer, like Misha from Canada, Mark from Newcastle, England, and also my host, who I later on hitchhiking together in China, Zhu. We still keep in touch. Zhu is now in Finland, and I met him again in back to 2018. He was studying in Finland. I was in Estonia, so he took a ferry to see me. And when we were younger, when we were hitchhiking together, sometimes we had a disagreement and conflict, but it doesn't matter, because when we were young, then we don't know that well to communicate, to show empathy to each other. But I'm glad still we are in touch. And I still remember when he met me in Tallinn, and he told me, are you still going to try and work hard for your dream? And he told me he's already